It's 35 degrees in the Dubai summer and I'm out here doing this. You might be wondering why. Well, it's because I'm trying to make a point, but we'll get to all that later. Right now, we're here to talk about the Edifier NeoBuds Pro, the successor to the NB2 Pro and made to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Edifier, which in a stroke of genius, they actually started as an Indiegogo Kickstarter campaign. And I say genius because from a business point of view, a crowdsourced campaign is fantastic. The money comes in beforehand, the customers are locked in, it's awesome. But even from a customer's point of view, most Kickstarter programs don't really come to fruition. But with Edifier backing this, maybe your money is going to a safe place. Either ways, it feels like a win-win, provided Edifier actually brings the goods, provided they deliver on all their promises. Well, they made the device, I have the device. The question now is just to see whether it's better than this guy, and more importantly, does it live up to all the hype? We need to talk. Okay, as always, we'll start with the basics, the build quality. Now, the NB2 Pro was quite good build quality-wise. This one's a step better. They've actually used more material in the lid, and the end effect is that the whole case feels a lot more solid. The earbuds themselves are similarly solid feeling without being too heavy, and the whole case gives the impression that it's a product that's built to last. So, 8.5 out of 10. When it comes to fit and comfort, however, the case is a little bit chunky, though not the pudgiest of the pack. It's also not the slimmest amongst its competitors, so I'm inclined to give it sort of a middle of the road, maybe 7.5 out of 10 if I'm being generous. However, the case is made out of both plastic and metal, and while the metal is understandably smooth and slippery, they've given the case plastic a sort of smooth silicone finish almost. The effect being it's incredibly slippery, and if you're taking it out of your pocket, it doesn't really inspire confidence. So as far as the case fit and comfort is concerned, it does cause a little bit of a bulge in the pocket and it doesn't inspire confidence. It's just not grippy enough. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Now, when it comes to the earbuds, the story is very different. The earbuds are somehow smaller than the NB2 Pro, perhaps even a little bit lighter. But what's important is this is what it looks like in my ear. In my opinion, this is fairly flush and relatively unobtrusive. And I can tell you, comfort-wise, for long listening sessions, this is one of the most comfortable earbuds I've had the pleasure of using. Even while exercising, be it running, cycling, anything, the fit is secure and it's very, very comfortable. 8.5 out of 10 for the earbuds. Now that we've got all that stuff out of the way, we get into the real meat and potatoes of it. The features, usability, sound quality, and battery life. Now when it comes to features, this thing came packed with features, and this follows through. This also has active noise cancellation, it has an ambient sound mode, it has a low latency gaming mode, it's got an IP54 dust and water resistance rating and dual balanced armature drivers, along with fast pairing, quick charging, and antibacterial ear tips for whatever it's worth. Now all that's well and good, but in a weird 2 steps forward, 1 step back move, these don't have in-ear detection. These had it, these do not. I'm not entirely sure why Edifier did this, but to take that a step forward, they also don't have multi-connect. And there's a whole bunch of caveats and compromises for the feature set. I was initially inclined to give this an 8.5 out of 10 because it does come with a lot of features, but as you'll see when we discuss the usability of this device, I'm going to dock it 1 whole point. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. And to explain that, we're going to talk about usability. Now, when it comes to usability, it's an odd mix, I'll be honest. Take, for instance, the case. It's got this LED strip in front, very cool, but it only tells you the pairing status. It doesn't tell you the case charge status, which is something the old one did. And this sort of thing carries on with the earbuds as well. Now, the earbuds do come with fast pairing. Here's the catch. It only fast pairs to the last connected device. It can't remember a whole bunch of devices like some of its competitors. So, if you use this with your phone and then you switch to your PC, for example, which you might want to do because it does have a pretty decent gaming mode, then unfortunately, when you go back to your smartphone, the fast pairing will not work. Similarly, when you have them in your ear, they lack in-ear detection, which means if you take one of them out of your ear and place them on the ground, it'll continue playing music and it'll keep draining its battery. The only way around it is to actually put it back in its case all the time. So what happens when you take your earbuds off, leave them on the table and walk away for a few hours? Whether they are paired to anything or not, they will continue to run and continue to drain themselves. But a happy side effect of this is that now, with 1 year off, as long as you don't put it back in the case, you can have 1 year on with noise cancellation and you could be taking a call, which is something a lot of earbuds don't allow you to do. But let's say you're past all this and you want to see what the app provides you. Well, you can install the Edifier Connect app, and just like last time, it only works with both Bluetooth and location services turned on all the time. And according to popular YouTubers DHRME, apparently whenever you try and update the firmware, the app wants to install some WeChat components along with it for no apparent reason. On the one hand, you've got an app that may compromise your privacy some way or the other, but on the other hand, you've definitely got an app that will compromise your phone's battery life because the location service has to be on. Now, in the app itself, we do see some improvements. For example, now you can see both earbud and case battery levels, although the case battery level is only updated every time you take the earbuds out of the case, so just something to bear in mind. Now you also get the option to toggle noise cancelling modes, ambient sound modes, game modes, and some equalization options. But what's interesting is if you tap on the settings cog on the top right hand side, you get access to a few more features. Actually, one feature in specific, and that is customized touch controls. The NB2 was not capable of giving you this, but looks like they went a step ahead and fixed that for us. But in true Edifier fashion, there's still no support for single tap, tap and hold, or tap and slide functionality. So customizable as they may be, they're still feeling quite limited to me. Now you'll notice that also in the settings cog is the option for LHDC and LDAC. Now this in itself is a little bit of a compromise because while LHDC is there, most devices don't support it. Android supports it, but most cell phone manufacturers have not incorporated it just yet. LDAC, on the other hand, might well be there on your cell phone, but these don't support it yet. Now, Edifier does say that it will come with a future firmware update, but as we say in the tech biz, buy products, not promises. Now at this point, I hope it's becoming more and more obvious as to why I docked points for its features, because while it does come chock full with features, almost every single feature seems to come with some sort of caveat or compromise. So for usability, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Okay, now for those of you who've already bought the device and you're not completely comfortable with the way the app works, I've got a little hidden feature for you. Now, if you pair these with your smartphone and use the app the first time around, go ahead and customize everything the way you want it. Noise cancelling modes, ambient sound modes, customized tap controls, EQ settings, whatever you want, and then uninstall the app. Because, and they don't tell you this, but all the customized settings, at least in my testing, seem to be saved directly on the earbud. So when I paired this with another device that had never had the Edifier Connect app in it before, all my settings were as I had set them. How's that for a tech tip? Which brings us neatly to battery life. Now, in my testing, at about 65 to 75% volume, with music running on a custom EQ and high noise cancelling, they gave me about 6 hours and 40 minutes of time, which in my book is not really that bad because they also have fast charging. 10 minutes of charge in the case will give you about an hour of listening time. But one thing to note is that my testing was done with music streaming over the AAC codec and not the LHDC codec. It is conceivable that if you use LHDC, then the battery drain might be more severe. So with that in mind and the fact that its competitors do seem to have better battery life in some cases, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Which brings us finally to sound quality. This is possibly the more important topic for this particular device because these were touted as the first high-res ANC buds and so on and so forth, and they come with dual balanced armature drivers, and frankly they've been hyped by everyone and everything on YouTube. So how do they sound? Well, out of the box, they sound terrible. That's right, terrible. And I know what you're thinking, how can this possibly be true? Everybody's talked and raved about them. Well, there is more to it. Let me explain. Now, the problem with these is, out of the box, it has a V-shaped sound signature. And what that means is the bass frequencies and the higher frequencies are significantly pronounced. And normally this would make for a fun listening experience, provided everything is done well and is under control. Problem with the Edifier Nearbuds Pro is that the bass is horribly bloated and uncontrolled and tends to leak out over the other frequencies and make the whole sound signature seem not only veiled but just plain muffled. It's honestly not a good experience at all, and I was as shocked as you when I found out. To make matters better, Edifier does give you some EQ options. The preset EQs are classic and dynamic. Classic tries to give you sort of a unboosted frequency response, and What that does is just expose its flaws even more. The bass is still uncontrolled, the highs are still bordering on harsh. It's just not a very pleasant experience. Now in dynamics, some of those issues are alleviated because the mids are brought up a little and they're no longer recessed. But the other thing it does is just double down on that V-shaped frequency response, meaning the bass that is bloated is now even more bloated and even more pronounced. And the highs that were already a little hot and harsh are even more hot and harsh. So what about the custom EQ? Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Now it's only a 4-band equalizer, but to compensate for that, at the bottom, you get to choose which frequency band you'd like to manipulate. Then you get to choose the Q factor, and then you get to fiddle around with the EQ. At this point, you may be confused. What frequency band should I choose? What the heck is a Q factor even? Well, they do have small explanations in the app, but I don't know why they couldn't just have made it simpler, give you a 5 or 10 band EQ app and let you figure it out on your own. Instead, now you've got to learn what a Q factor is. I would have called this an enthusiast dream if it weren't for the fact that it only has 4 sliders. I wish it had more for more fine control. Nonetheless, I did fiddle around with it a little bit. Now, if you spend more time, there's a chance that you can do better than me. But to me, this sounds relatively balanced and much more enjoyable. Basically, I bring the mids up a little bit, tone the highs back a little bit, and bring that bass down a fair bit. An odd thing I found that bringing the bass back around the 130 to 150 Hz range seems to actually reduce bloat a little bit and therefore give the impression of it having more punch, which is not something I expected. I did end up boosting the lower and upper mids, and I did want to bring the highs back a little bit. So now that I've custom EQ'd it to my liking, did it get any better? Yes. Now is when I started to understand what all those other YouTubers were talking about. This is where the greatness of these earbuds actually started to shine through. Now don't get me wrong, even EQing this did not hide its flaws. The bass was still bloated and relatively uncontrolled, and even though it packed a little bit more of a punch, I found it to be more of a dull thud instead. It does seem to have reasonable bass and sub-bass extension, but it has no detail or texture whatsoever. So if you're listening to something from the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Dua Lipa's Levitating with all those nice bass lines, you'll hear the bass as this blob of bass down there, and it does add to the lush texture of the overall sound, but there's no detail there whatsoever. Move up to the mids and you start seeing why people were raving about these so much. The mids are actually really nice. Though the tonality is a little bit off, I put that down to the balanced armature nature of the drivers rather than anything else. There is, however, a significant amount of detail and separation. Imaging was okay. I could place where different instruments were at different times, but it seems to be better on certain tracks rather than others. Soundstage similarly was okay. It was enough to give you some sense of space. Now, the higher frequencies, to my ears at least, tended to come in fairly hot and harsh, a little too much for my liking, and I think this would get fatiguing over longer listening periods. Now, to my ear, toning it down a little bit in the 10,000 Hz range seemed to take the edge off just a little bit, but really this could have just been my mind playing tricks on me. Your mileage may vary. So then, what do I think about the sound quality at the end? Look, providing you're willing to spend the time and form a custom EQ for your preferences, I think you will be rewarded with a sound that is pretty darn detailed in the mids and highs, and a decent amount of bass and sub-bass to give the entire song a little more gravitas and a little more lushness, if you will. So for sound quality, it's hard to give it a rating. Out of the box, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. It's really bad. After customization, however, I'm willing to give it a good solid 8 out of 10, especially for the price range, because it does get quite enjoyable. There is a significant amount of detail, the likes of which I have not personally experienced in devices in this price bracket. So then, who is this for? Well, to answer that question, you have to ask yourself something. And that's actually the reason why I'm standing out here in the heat in the Dubai summer making this video, because on the one hand, standing outside allows me to have a different background and might be a little bit more interesting than me sitting inside my room, which means maybe it's a little more engaging for you, and also it gives me better thumbnail opportunities for the video, meaning that people might be more inclined to click on the video. Plus, after having spent months indoors, because that's how Dubai summer is, it is nice to get out. But the point is, in this moment, just for today, the benefits of being out here shooting are great enough that I'm willing to put up with the heat and I'm willing to work around it. And that is the best analogy that I can give you for the Endifier NeoBuds Pro. It's not an unusable device, but by no means is it a completed device. It seems pretty darn half-baked to me, and you have to ask yourself, do you put sound quality so far above everything else that you're willing to overlook the half-baked nature of the features and the usability of the device, overlook the possible privacy concerns of the app, and overlook the fact that you can only get that sound quality if you spend a significant amount of time with the customizable EQ. If not, then maybe this is not the device for you. But if, like me, you're a bit of a fool and a sucker for better sound quality, then maybe it is, because I genuinely haven't heard anything better in the sub $100 price range. Except, it's not really sub $100 anymore. This is available on Amazon now, and it's $130. And at that price range, you would be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't at least check out the other options on the market. So there you have it. The cards are on the table, the ball's in your court. Choose wisely. Till next time, stay happy, stay peaceful, stay colorful. Namaste.